Hello everyone, how's it going? It's 9:17 a.m. This is pre-market. For today, we have a couple first day runners, some previous runners. GRNQ is a first day stock, doesn't really have a good history. Looks like it can spike a bunch and then go right back down. It's not shortable here on E-Trade. It's definitely traded much more volume before, very likely to have bag holders. Maybe there's not going to be a trade with this, although it looks like it might make an inverse head and shoulders just because of the fact that it has a very bearish long-term chart. There could be plenty of bag holders or people who are seeing this previous history here and consider shorting it on other brokers. It could also make a nice short squeeze, so we'll see. AQMS is a multi-day runner. Long-term chart is a bit better. It's just gonna be a watch for now, nothing really in mind. Not really a first day. It's just something to watch. It is shortable, so I could short it. I could even short it maybe right here if it fails to break this level, a confirmed breakdown just because of this action here. Again, not a clear setup right now, just something to watch. And XTD is trying to make a move again. It was up not too long ago. Pretty impressive. If this thing can break 2 and maybe hold above 2 today, it could make some nice price action. ALPP is the OTC to watch, and this guy is looking like a very nice number 5. They're hyping themselves up. They're trying to go NASDAQ, at least that's what they're making it sound like. If it's NASDAQ, I'll be able to short it. Because you can't short OTCs with E-Trade, probably for the better. But if it does a nice number 5, I'll consider buying it. But that's all I got for right now. The other screen has a few other stocks. Like OCGN, CYDY, ABML FRSX, just to see if they do any type of nice spiking, or maybe even a number 5 on one of those stocks like CYDY, ABML. We'll just keep watching. No clear setups right now. It could be an exciting day. We'll take a look. Alright, it is 9:34 a.m. Markets opened just a few days ago. FRSX maybe short towards green, a failure to go green. It could be a potential setup. It is shortable. ALPP is doing a very nice spike in the 4s. Maybe today won't be the number 5 setup, but you know, one day it will, and hopefully that day will be a good day. That it brings up a good number 5. AQMS, not really something that I'm looking at. No true setups. GRNQ, just fading. And XTD is also nothing that I really want to trade at the moment. I have interactive brokers ready. I only have 1 day trade available, so if I run out, I'll be able to trade there. Right now, no clear setups except for FRSX. If it spikes towards 5 or maybe somewhere close to 5, and if it looks like it might hold the level and not break past it, or maybe a wait for a confirmed breakdown, that could be something to trade. 9:39 a.m. It looks like it might try to touch 5. I'm not gonna short it here, that would be stupid. Maybe it just barely touches 5 here and it fades all the way down. That'll be fine, I won't trade it. What I want to see it do is break 5, fail the breakout, quotation marks, fail the breakout of 5, fail, come back below 5, try one more time and fail. I would short that, but not this. This could keep going. It will definitely squeeze some people here too, so I don't want to be a part of that. If this thing fails to break past 5 and does a confirmed breakdown, I'll be interesting. I'll definitely be interested in shorting it. ALPP looks like it's dropped a little, but I mean it's up very nicely today. AQMS maybe an inverse head and shoulders here. No clear setups right now, but I am looking at FRSX. This guy could keep running. Again, that's why I was waiting for a confirmed breakdown, because if I tried to short right at 5, I would have been squeezed like crazy. Okay, 9:43 a.m. Just a quick update. Very quick updates. Having a nice downtrend. This was pretty big, very fast, so not really solid. If I miss it, I will be fine. But the idea is that this thing tries to get towards 5 and fails, or maybe it just stays right under 5. That would be nice too. The only thing wrong with this setup is that me and basically every other day trader who might be interested in this is going to risk it off of the break-even level of 5, which is going to be pretty bad, because it could lead to a short squeeze. Although I wasn't stupid enough to try shorting it here thinking the momentum's just going to stop. You should wait for it to downtrend. We'll keep watching this guy. Of course, the pattern doesn't have to happen, and that's fine. We'll keep looking. And ABML is doing like a nice multi-day breakout around this level right here. I'm not gonna buy it. The only reason why I'm not gonna buy it is because I don't like the way it got there. It wasn't nice and gradual, slow and easy. Instead it was this pump looking thing. So if it would have gotten there in a much nicer way, maybe putting up higher lows, higher highs instead of just this, I would be interested, and it could still break out or it can fail, but I'm not trading it just because of the way it got there. Okay, it's 9:48 a.m. FRSX. It looks like it's trying to break past 5, but it fails. I don't think I'll short this though. I just don't like how it's making up this symmetrical triangle. That can always lead to a nice pop and maybe a squeeze. So it's not really looking too good. But what is looking good is AQMS, potential inverse head and shoulders to trade. It already spiked towards the upside. This guy can start downtrending. It could be a potential inverse head and shoulders to trade. That would be pretty nice, of course, if it wants to. So I'll just looking for potential setups. Maybe I'm an idiot not shorting right now. I just don't like this triangle we got over here. This thing could lead to a nice breakout over the level. Solid number at 5. We'll keep looking. Okay, it's 10 a.m. AQMS is not really putting up an inverse head and shoulders. At least if it is, it's not right now. At first I thought it was copying this guy over here with this section right here. I thought that was pretty interesting, but since then it hasn't really dropped to really make a shoulder to play off of. Right now it looks like maybe it's trying to make this as a shoulder. In that case, I'm not going to trade it. We'll keep watching this guy. And the other stock to note is ABML. Again, this is a guy that was attempting to do a multi-day breakouts around the level of 154. I didn't like the way it pumped up like this. It has a nice downtrend. It's not spiking as much, at least right now it's not really doing it, but it can. Again, I just didn't want to trade that. I want something with higher lows, you know, higher highs, not this pump stuff. So no real setups right now. FRSX, again, didn't like this triangle looking thing that it was forming. Eventually it led to this nice squeeze right here, a little bit of a downtrend. Looks like it might try to break the day high, which would be interesting. I don't know if I'll trade that. I probably won't, but it'll be a nice watch to learn from. Nonetheless, I'm not going to short it here either. Maybe. No, I doubt it. You short here at 530, it goes to 5. That's not really good in terms of percentage. I want something a little more profitable. I'll keep looking at AQMS. ALPP trying again to get towards its highs, which is pretty nice. GRNQ, I was wise to not mess with this guy just because of the shitty long-term chart. Sorry for swearing. If I had shares available to short, I would definitely have shorted its stock at some point. And XTD a little choppy for me. I'll keep looking at the stocks. We'll see if there's any setups. Okay, it's 10:11 a.m. I'm really considering buying this, but I just don't like this level 2. It's always showing a lot of people on the ask, and that's pretty bearish. I don't also have a big red candle or a wick to risk off of that's significant. If it decides to bounce without me, I think that will be fine. I just don't have a big, like something like this guy, a big wick to risk off of, or a humongous red candle that's pretty flat, that doesn't have a little wick in the bottom. I don't mind missing a setup for being a little picky with the tickers, but I do like, although I didn't really have too much of a big candle or a wick to risk off of, you could just risk off the shoulder level, which would be 325. But the problem is that, well, maybe 324. The problem is that if it cracks there, everybody's going to be getting out. But I do like that it had two little candles right there that did not move very much to show that it is doing some kind of consolidation. But the reason why I haven't pulled the trigger is just a level 2. There's always like a wall of sellers, and that's not a good thing to buy into. It came, that wall of sellers, since here led to this downtrend. The problem is that it's still there. So if I miss a setup for that reason, I think that will be fine. I can still learn from it. I can make adjustments if I see that it doesn't matter that much. If it's right here in the setup, we'll keep watching. It might just go on without me. I think that'll be fine. Level 2 is looking a little better now. I don't mind missing this setup because, again, we don't have a big wick or a big red candle to whisk off of. I can probably bring up some charts later to show what I'm talking about as a recap, but I'll still watch this. It's 10:17 a.m. The inverse head and shoulders, at least right here, failed. 326 to 338. I don't think people are trying to make 10 pennies. The idea was that it could spike from the 320s to the 340s. If it cracks or breaks out of this range, that could be an even nicer run, maybe even towards the day high. Just crappy people on the level 2. That's why I didn't get in, and I guess I'm very happy that I stuck by my plans and did not buy this because of the level 2 looking like crap, and also because I didn't have a big red candle or a big wick to risk off of. This completely changes the pattern. It still isn't below the head. If it tries to make a shoulder here, maybe I'll consider buying, but this is now going to be significant resistance towards the upside if it does make it, as well as 336. Of course, the neckline would be here around 342. Really no setup right now. I'll keep watching this, but that is, I'm glad I called that, you know. Again, bad level 2, no wick, no big candle to risk off of. I've been burned before trying to buy something that technically, in terms of the technical analysis on the chart, looks like an inverse head and shoulders, but the level 2 was crap. And I'm just like, well, if I get in the pattern, you know, I'll go with the pattern and the level 2 will change. Well, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm happy I didn't chase that one. ALPP. Again, it just didn't play out the way I wanted it to. ALPP, very nice. Nothing I want to trade really. No clear patterns that I see. FRSX, I did not watch this because I was watching AQMS, but it did a nice breakout over the 530 day high level. Pretty nice. It even gave a bunch of, you know, follow-up chances to get in the breakout, so this is pretty cool. I don't feel bad for being short biased. You know, had I been long biased, maybe I would have bought and I would have profited, but that's fine. I mean, you can just try your best and keep adjusting. Also, I was watching AQMS, so that's not too bad. It's not like I was scared. I just didn't trade it because I didn't see it and I was short biased. Although I might have switched. GRNQ is actually trying to round back, which is pretty impressive. Looking a little bit like a cup and handle. And XTD, still a choppy mess. And looking at the other screen, I don't see any setups, but I do see an interesting pattern. ABML is looking like it's going to try a symmetrical triangle. It can break towards the upside or the downside. I won't trade this, of course. I'll just watch. I don't know. I find it entertaining to watch symmetrical triangles. Is it going to break out or break down? What I've learned, at least so far, my current thoughts is that these guys just tend to play out considering everything outside the technical. So how high is it, the floats, the news, the momentum, the background, and that usually leads to whether it can break out or break down. Well, that's a guessing game. They're entertaining, sure, but I'm not going to trade it. But it's a very clean OTC symmetrical triangle. 10:27 a.m. just a quick update. AQMS might do the spike here, might do the inverse head and shoulders here. We do have a wick in theory to risk off of. You could buy at 320, risk 314. You'll also have additional support at 310, which makes it very good in terms of protection from losses. Again, it could definitely spike. Level 2, as you can tell, does not look as bad as it did previously. It's still not perfect, but it looks a lot better than what it was doing before. Problem is 324 could fail. Around the 330s right here could fail. Could fail here. Could fail. It could fail. It's gonna have to put up a fight with the resistance, but if the level 2 shows that there isn't many people on the ask, could make a nice uptrend. I just probably won't trade this. I'll definitely watch it. You can even say that this is making its own inverse head and shoulders with a shoulder here, the head here. That could be possible too. I likely just won't trade it. This would have been the initial idea because it could have spiked towards the neckline from the 320s to the 340s. You know, that's if it just doesn't work out perfectly, but it still does the pattern. It could get to the higher level of the neckline, the 350s here. That will be 30 cents, 10%. But best case scenario, it cracks this level here. You know, 360s, 370s. You know, and then maybe it fails to break the day high. That will be fine too. Or maybe it fails to break the day high, it drops, and then it makes the inverse head and shoulders second higher low setup. That will be a nice buy. Break the day high. This isn't it. It could still make a nice spike here. It's just not the way I wanted it for that reason. I'm not trading it. FRSX is pretty impressive. I wonder if it's still shortable. It is, but I don't want to short it. I'm just curious you know, if it's still shortable after it spiked up this high. I don't see a setup here. GRNQ, you could say it's an inverse head and shoulders here. I'll watch it, but I won't trade it just because I just do not like the long-term chart. I should be short biased here because of how bad the long-term chart is, but it could also mean a lot of people will get squeezed because they see how bad it is. So I guess in the theory it could even out, but I'll definitely watch to see if it does the inverse head and shoulders. If it does, that'll be a good observation. I'll keep that in notes, but I'm not gonna trade it, even if it looks like it might do it, unless it's just so perfect that I have to trade it. And XTD, not really much of a setup. I'm actually gonna remove this. Did a nice spike considering what it's been doing, but unless it tries to break 210-ish, you know, today or the next day, maybe the next day or maybe 2 days from here, it will be impressive. But this isn't something to trade. No setups on the other screen. ABML is still doing a symmetrical triangle, although it's heading towards the downside. No clear big red candle to say that the pattern is in, but I'll keep watching this just for the entertainment. No setups right now. It's 10:45 a.m. I probably won't do it, but I will watch. If I wanted to be speculative, I could short right now and risk off of 530, which is a level right here, resistance right here. The idea is that it's losing momentum, putting higher, not higher, but lower highs, lower lows. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Here's a lower low, I guess, a bit of a double bottom. Lower low, and the idea is just going to fade away into all the way to $0 by the end of today. That would be the idea, to risk off of 530. It could also always try to put up a higher low if it doesn't downtrend very quickly. Level 2 doesn't look too bad. I'll definitely keep looking. In theory, I could be short right now, risking off of 530. This will be a great pattern to learn. Just try to pick the reversal of lower lows, lower highs. A stock that lost its momentum, and it's not its first day either, so I have that in favor. If it gets, you know, if it's down on the day, but if it cracks below 502, that would be pretty bad. But we're gonna have support here that it's gonna have to fight if it wants to get there first. Okay, it is 10:56 a.m. ALPP, Mr. Nasdaq wannabe, didn't really do too much when it broke the day high. It went from 459 to 479. I guess it's not too bad. I mean, you never know how high it could go. I didn't see this breakout here. It only went up 20 cents, which is maybe 5% max. AQMS never really did the inverse head and shoulders, but now that much more candles have been made and the chart's a little squished, it does look like it made it. It just didn't do a good bounce right here, 326 to 337. This is like worst case scenario for inverse head and shoulders that actually forms. It just didn't do a good job. Didn't want to trade it here, and it's been consolidating ever since, until I guess right now it looks like it might try to do some kind of an uptrend. Not a pattern I want to trade. FRSX is at 526, so the idea would have been, if I remember, shorting around right here, risking it off of 530. It downtrended here. It put a wick. This would have been alarming because that means it was able to get as low as 510 but not get any lower. If you know a little about candlesticks, at least this is what I think from that. Definitely would have considered getting out right here in the 520s when it's when it's looking like it's doing a higher low setup. Although I didn't do too much of a higher high. It might be a double top right here, but this thing could very well break out. I would have been out around right here, just because of the fact that it didn't really put up much of a higher low. It didn't get much lower than 510. It put a wick, and that's pretty bullish, this wick right here. GRNQ did do a bit of an inverse head and shoulders, but it wasn't very clean. Not something I would have traded. 229 to 250, not really good in terms of percentage. I don't feel bad missing these stocks because I wanted to have traded them. LCGN, not really something I want to trade. It is still shortable, I think, but I'm not going to short it. Support is going to be at 215, the low of today, as well as all of this range right here. So yeah, this is like mid-range. I wouldn't mess with this guy, trade it at all. CY, actually ABML. And kind of disappointing. Didn't do much of a symmetrical triangle. It just consolidated. That is not a real wick. Just didn't do very much. This was entertaining until it looked like it was doing nothing. It just consolidated. CY, DY. Did downtrend. I saw it when it did this and then it downtrended again. I guess in theory I could have bought, but I don't like this. I don't think this is a good number 5. A good number 5 is a V, makes a nice V. This looks like upside down Pikachu head. I'm not trading that. Still nice to see that it did a bounce. If CY DY keeps making number 5s that look ugly, or maybe all number 5s start looking ugly, which I doubt, you have to adjust, but for now it's just not going to be something to trade. And FRSX, going back to here again, would have definitely cut here in the 520. Still would have been profitable, just not very much, because of the fact that it looked like it might have been able to put up a higher low, which you don't want to be a part of. It's already 11 a.m. Probably no trades today. I'll keep looking though. I'm going to start working on other stuff and look at the stocks in the background. No setups today, but I think I did really good in not trading bad setups. Okay, it's 2:14 p.m. I really didn't get a chance to look at the markets after that last recording. I had people come over. I went to sleep at 1 a.m. I took a small, I slept just a little bit, and then, you know, with the people that came over, it wasn't able to work out, but that's totally fine. FRSX, this is when, excuse me, this is when I wanted a short, right around, where was it? I think it was right here, because the idea was to risk off of 530, and this is the level where I wanted a short, right? It downtrended towards 510. It looks like I was just early. It had another spike, 2 small wicks. I probably, maybe not anymore, but I know an earlier version of me would have gotten squeezed out of there. I would have covered. But it had a nice downtrend, and then it did it again, but it didn't get that high anymore. The momentum was clearly shot, especially now that it's midday. Had I have seen this would have been a very good opportunity to go short. Maybe I would miss it right here and then feel like I'm chasing and not short. Anyway, this is a very stress-free downtrend right here. A little wicky right there, but very nice. And then I guess once it cracked this level right here at 505, it had a small wick. This would have indicated that it might uptrend. It did. Got to 511, and then it kind of absolutely broke down this level right here, going as low as 480. So that's not too bad. Not really too bad. I mean, not too good either, like in terms of percentage, but it's good to see that this thing worked out. I saw it a bit early, but I've seen stocks fade much cleaner than this. This was relatively stress-free. But this, you know, I could have gone now anywhere here. Who knows how I would have traded it right then and there. Mr. Wannabe NASDAQ, it's just doing very nice, consolidating at its highs. I don't really buy stocks and hold overnight. I don't like that type of thing. Nor am I saying it's a good idea, but you do want to see stocks that hold their highs or finish very strongly at the market before the market close. Although I would be the type to sell before the market close. Very nice seeing this hold its levels and not really fade despite how much it is up. AQMS, Mr. Failed Inverse Head and Shoulders. Not much of a setup. I guess you can say one right here, but I want to find better stocks that give out better rewards, much more profitable. GRNQ continues to fade, although it did put up a nice reversal right here, which you could say is an inverse head and shoulders. This was pretty nice, although it didn't spike too much. But given how bad the long-term chart was, I mean, this is pretty good for what it was. The other stocks, AB, ML, excuse me, eventually did a, I mean, I don't really call this a symmetrical triangle anymore. It just started to consolidate. Eventually cracked the day high, only briefly. Hasn't really put up much of a fight from there. That's more promising, this breaking a day high, than when it did it right here. The multi-day high over, yeah, about 154. It could be a confirmed breakout. I don't know. I don't think I want to trade this. I will watch it just to learn from it and maybe make adjustments, but I won't trade it. CYDY, nothing I want to trade there. And I think that's it. OCGN just faded a little bit. It's still up today, but it faded from where it was previously. Not much of a pattern to trade here, unless you want to consider the market open panic. I wouldn't. Overall, a pretty good day. I'm gonna close it right here. It's 2:19 p.m. Sure, something could happen in the next, hour and a half, but I'd say today was a very good trading day. If anything, I just didn't trade bad setups. I was disciplined enough to not try, have FOMO and get in a bad trade. I did that pretty well. FRSX, very happy to see that my idea worked. Because it's a pattern I see very often. A stock that starts fading around midday towards the rest of the day. Very, very profitable setup if you ask me, although it does take a long time for some to play out. I'll just keep going at it. Pretty good market day. No trades, but again, I didn't trade any stupid things.